Welcome back again. We always are delighted to be with you, and thank you for coming. What we want to talk about today is a video by Dr. Greger, and it's all about something in fiber. What is that?
Ultra processed food. So
That's
it's interesting. He's talking about the structure of ultra processed foods. We've done a blog before, and there's a lot of information out there about ultra processed foods, basically what we call junk foods.
yeah,
And
junk.
all that ultra processing and the high processing that goes into making these candy bars and all the rest of it. They take a lot of the nutrients out. Basically, the problem with ultra processed foods in terms of our health is that they're very low nutrient density. They've taken the fiber away. They've taken in that process they lose other nutrients, and they add sugar and fat, a lot of excess calories
And salt.
and salt. Yeah, and
Yeah,
these things that make us want to eat more.
true.
So the one other thing that goes into these ultra processed foods that isn't ideal is the additives. You look at the list of
It's
ingredients
amazing.
that's in something that seems like it would be a pretty simple food, and it's got words I can't even pronounce,
Yeah.
and it's a list this long. It has these food additives and other industrial ingredients to enhance shelf life and texture and that kind of thing, all designed around getting us to want to eat more because that means we will buy more.
Which means more hopeful profit.
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, ultra processed foods aren't exactly designed around helping us produce optimal health, but rather profit. So,
Yeah, yeah. And we learned so much dropping all that and going to whole food plant based, how that really enhances the strength and vitality and health of the body and the mind and even the spirit, I think.
yeah. And so, yeah, back in the 80s when we shifted, when we went over to whole food plant based, um, there wasn't a lot of this information out there.
True.
And particularly the reason we wanted to share the video of Dr. Greger today with you is he's talking about the structure in ultra processed foods. And basically that's the fiber piece that when they take the fiber out, which is done to almost every ultra processed food, when they take the fiber out, it changes the structure of the food, and fiber in the whole food form is so essential in allowing all those nutrients to get into our cells, get into our bodies, into our organs where we need them. And so that's why we wanted to share this. So, shall we go to the video?
Well, I want to talk a little bit about fiber because even whole food plant based, as we put more emphasis on, well, how much fiber are we really getting? We get a lot. How much do you think in a
Oh,
day?
well, I eat a lot. I probably eat more than most people, and I love beans. The few times that I've kind of done the count, I'm getting 80 to 90 grams.
Yeah. And now they're promoting at least 50, and most people get around 15
Yeah.
grams. It's such a low amount. So look at your fiber. If you really want to begin to upgrade your health, fiber can make a big difference. And where is it found? Fruits, veggies, whole beans, lentils,
Grains, whole
grains,
grains.
whole grains, and they are all so
Yeah, it
delicious.
can be. Well, now that you mentioned the thing about the fiber, um, you said earlier, you think it has an influence on our spirit, certainly on our mentality. And we heard a video this morning looking at alcoholism, bipolar, and what was the other one? MS was one, and there was another mental illness diagnoses that they found when the microbiome was changed and there was adequate fiber, it changed the psychological
Yeah.
condition
Well,
that the person was experiencing. So
yeah.
fiber and the microbiome are very associated with our mental stability and our relationship with life.
Yeah, and
That was
fiber is so
interesting.
critical for the microbiome to do its work.
Yeah, that's what feeds the microbiome. Ready for the video?
Ready.
Let's do the video. Okay, we're going to share our screen in order for you to see this video. And we got it right here. So share. Oh, I better start it at the beginning. Let's do that. Okay, here we go.
In the past few videos, I covered the nutrient profile of ultra-processed foods, the industrial contaminants, the additives, both intentional and unintentional, as well as changes in texture. But what's this about food matrix? In the famous study that found that ultra-processed diets caused excess calorie intake and weight gain compared to unprocessed diets, despite the fact that both diets were matched for calories, sugar, fat, and fiber, suggested that it may be something about the processing itself, such as the concentration of calories and the changes in texture that allowed the foods to be eaten so much faster. But wait, how did the researchers match for fiber? It's hard to imagine ultra-processed foods having much fiber. Here are two representative dinners. On the ultra-processed side, non-fat yogurt, fruit in heavy syrup, baked potato chips, a deli meat and cheese sandwich, and 3 cups of diet lemonade. And the same number of calories, fat, and sugar on the unprocessed side, a southwestern entree salad with greens, beans, nuts, fruits, and vegetables. How could the ultra-processed meal possibly have the same amount of fiber? What they did was sprinkle a fiber supplement into the yogurt and lemonade. So technically both meals had the same amount of fiber, but that's not how fiber works. A half century ago, the dietary fiber hypothesis was proposed, suggesting that fiber was the reason that diets centered around whole plant foods were so protective against chronic disease. Predictably, this gave rise to a multi-billion-dollar fiber supplement market. People could just eat real food, but where's the money in that? Of course, it's hard to trust projections from internet press releases. I highly doubt the fiber market is going to hit 20,000 million billion. Those who get more fiber in their diet are significantly less likely to get heart disease, strokes, and diabetes, less likely to die from cancer and all causes put together. But that's with fiber from food. In terms of fiber intake for optimal health, the first line of defense for disease prevention is to focus on fiber from foods rather than supplements. For the treatment of disease, there's a lack of evidence-based research to support the use of most isolated fiber types. You can't just take your magic bullet of Metamucil with your Wonder Bread. That's not how fiber works. Dietary fiber alone has certain benefits, but its primary role may be the physical encapsulation of nutrients inside the cell wall for special delivery to our gut microbiome. Fiber makes up the cell walls of plants, which act as an indigestible physical barrier. So when we eat structurally intact plant foods, many of the nutrients remain trapped. Chew all you want, you're still going to end up with nutrients completely surrounded by fiber, which then blunts the glycemic response, activates a natural satiety mechanism called the ileal brake, and delivers sustenance to your friendly flora. That's what nature intended to happen. That may be why apples are more satiating than apple juice, even when the juice is enriched with an identical amount of added fiber. Structure matters. You can't just sprinkle on the fiber. Fiber is part of the matrix. The word matrix comes from the Latin matrices, derived from mater, meaning mother. We should strive to preserve the matrix, the blue pill, by choosing more unprocessed plant foods. Even with identical chemistry, food structure may result in major differences in health outcomes. Corn chips and corn flakes cause a higher blood sugar spike than does corn on the cob. Even with identical ingredients, food structure can make a difference. For example, rolled oats have a significantly lower glycemic index than unsweetened instant oatmeal, which is also just straight oats, but in thinner flakes. And oat flakes have a lower glycemic index than oat powder. The same single ingredient, oats, but in different forms can have different effects. Why do we care? Because the overly rapid absorption of carbohydrates after eating a high glycemic index meal can trigger a sequence of hormonal and metabolic changes that promote excessive eating. In a study out of Harvard's Children's Hospital, a dozen obese teen boys were fed instant oatmeal versus steel cut oatmeal. After the instant oatmeal, the teens went on to eat 53% more than after eating the steel cut oatmeal. The instant oatmeal group started snacking within an hour after their meal and went on to accumulate significantly more calories throughout the rest of the day. Plain steel cut oatmeal is considered a low glycemic index food, averaging under 55, whereas the instant oatmeal is a high glycemic food, averaging over 70. But isn't as bad as some breakfast cereals, which can get even higher. This is even true of zero sugar cereals like shredded wheat. The new industrial methods used to create breakfast cereals, such as extrusion cooking and explosion puffing, accelerate starch digestion and absorption, causing an exaggerated blood sugar response. Shredded wheat has the same ingredients as spaghetti, straight wheat, but a 70% higher glycemic index. This is one of the reasons why processing matters. Food structure may be critical for optimal health. Eating whole grains is good, but eating whole grain kernels is better. Former chair of Harvard's Nutrition Department, Walter Willett, has argued that the term whole grain should probably be reserved for only whole, intact grain kernels. So, eat the holiest of grains, intact grains, also known as groats. Breakfast meal, including whole rye kernels, resulted in increased feelings of satiety in the afternoon compared to porridge made out of whole grain rye flour. So instead of buying boxed breakfast cereals, make oatmeal out of whole intact oats. They're groat.
So there you have it. I really like that. Oops. Stop share. Stop share. There we go. Oh, I didn't turn it off though. I better stop or you keep hearing it. Yeah. No, that's fine. It's stopped. Okay. Yeah. So, what'd you think?
Well, I liked a lot of it, and I think it's a video worth hearing more than once to really gain what he's pointing to, because there are several points. But the first one being, you take the calories of processed foods and the same number of calories in whole foods, and you end up eating more because it stimulates the appetite and the dopamine centers.
Yeah.
I thought that was great.
Yeah. Yeah. It has me thinking back to when we started the whole food plant-based approach. And so this is what, in the 80s, 40 some years ago. And how we didn't have all this information to kind of back up what we were doing, but we seemed to know the difference between eating the whole food versus the processed foods. And so it takes us back to what we've been preaching here on our blogs for so many years. Listen to your body. All this scientific information and research that's coming out about the why of whole food plant-based being beneficial is already known.
That's true.
Like his example of how an apple is more satisfying than the apple juice, and even when you put the same amount of fiber back in the juice, just as I take that in, I can feel how, of course, that would be that way. It's like I know that would be that way.
Yeah.
And how when these kids ate instant oatmeal instead of steel cut oats, they ended up eating 53% more calories.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Of it and snacking sooner. So they had more, they ate more afterwards as well. It's like, this is crazy, you know, it's like, it doesn't make sense in a way. But if I listen to my body and what really, if I have choices of what to eat, what really is my body wanting, kind of knowing is going to benefit me the most in terms of its support for proper functioning and good health, it knows the whole food is the way to go.
Yeah. It's so wise if I just stop and ask, do I really want this, whatever this type of food is? And I'm not hungry, it always says, have a glass of water. You're not hungry.
Right.
It points me in the exact right direction. And also, if I ask it, should I choose this over this in terms of the whole food choice palette, it's very clear what will serve me most.
The whole food.
Well, it's the whole food palette, like
Oh.
cherries versus
Oh, I
apple,
see.
or
I see.
sweet
Yeah.
potato versus white potato. What would be ideal for me right now?
Yeah, yeah. So that's a good point too, is that even if you're doing whole food plant-based, at different times, different whole foods support us the most, and our intelligence, inner knowing, whatever you want to call it, is fine-tuned enough to be able to kind of prompt us, nudge us one way or the other,
Guide us
to
perfectly.
guide us to eat what will serve us the most. Takes us out of our heads, gets us into our bodies. We come back to our senses, you might say. That's our body is where our senses are instead of all of our thinking.
Yeah, and what is a good idea? Take one day and just go through what you eat and calculate the fiber. And that will give you a good idea of what you're doing on a regular basis. And if it's low, bring it up. Eat more whole foods.
Okay, you want to share the recipe? Lemon pasta.
That was so good. So I found this great organic lemon pasta at Costco. Wonderful,
It tastes good.
fermentedly.
Yeah, it's got a lemony flavor to the pasta. It's really good.
And then what I added was onion cooked until it browns, and then shiitake mushrooms, but regular mushrooms are great. A bunch of asparagus cut in 3-inch pieces. And then when it was all combined, we added cashew cream.
Cashew cream, yeah, a little
That
lemon
was
zest, a
so
little lemon
good.
juice. Yeah, it's very, it's not overpoweringly lemony, but it has the lemon undertone, and the combination of the cashew cream and the lemon and these veggies and mushrooms.
It was really good.
It's a
We have
keeper.
enough to have it today too. So we're lucky.
Okay, so that's it for now. Thanks for joining us, and we'll be back next week.
Yeah, see you then. Bye bye.